From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
Well, coming up tonight at 6, an imminent strike in the South Bay that might impact several riders.
I have doctor's appointments. I have things I have to go to. I don't have a vehicle.
Plus, San Francisco's slow recovery is hurting small business.
It is really scary. I have to dip into all my savings. They're all gone.
One business owner says it is the worst he has seen in over 30 years.
And Hillsburg wants to remain the small, quaint town that it is. Why they're saying no to big business.
When you're local and you have the big guys coming in, it starts changing the feeling of it.
But we're going to begin tonight by talking about the fact that we're on the eve of a fairly large strike by the VTA in the South Bay, something that will affect as many as 100,000 riders when they try to get to wherever they're going tomorrow morning. Len Ramirez has the latest on how they're planning on handling that.
Well, VTA officials are already advising riders to start making alternate plans for transportation on Monday because at 12:01 a.m. the buses and the light rail trains could stop running and the strike will be on.
Many riders were just finding out about the potential transit strike in Santa Clara County. 1,500 union bus and train operators could walk off the job, leaving about 100,000 riders potentially scrambling for a way to get to work, school, or appointments.
I can understand workers needing to strike for better wages and better working conditions. It's just one of those things you have to deal with. It makes life interesting, I guess.
He has options and will likely switch to commuting by car if the strike happens.
I don't know what's going to happen or how I'm going to get around, at all. I have no clue.
But for many others, like Abria Buster, public transportation is their only way of getting around.
I have doctor's appointments. I have things I have to go to. I don't have a vehicle. And so with this strike, it's going to affect me significantly. And I can't afford to take an Uber everywhere.
Talks between the Amalgamated Transit Union, Local 265, and the Valley Transportation Authority broke off after the union rejected VTA's proposal of a 9.3% wage increase over 3 years. VTA says the union wants a 19.1%, which it can't afford.
The reality, with a wage increase at this level, or anything close to it, would be service cuts throughout our system and the likely elimination of positions across VTA.
The transportation agency says if the strike happens, it does not have alternate plans to keep the county moving at this time.
Right now, the expectation is that if there is a strike on Monday, there will be no light rail service and there will be no bus service.
One driver who's been with the agency 35 years says a strike won't be good for anyone.
It's not fair for the people, for the passengers, and then for, we're just trying to get a fair contract, but I guess that's the nature of the beast,
If the strike happens, it would be the biggest service disruption since the VTA mass shooting in 2021 and the agency's first strike ever.
The agency says its paratransit service will continue regular operations during the strike, Indra.
Well, in San Francisco, it's the last weekend. The Great Highway will be open to cars. A stretch of the road is slated to close for good this Friday to make way for a coastal park. Cars will no longer be allowed to drive between Lincoln Avenue and Slope Boulevard. Voters in November approved closing the 2-mile stretch of the Upper Great Highway for good. Supporters say they're thrilled about the park's opening.
I think it's about time that San Francisco prioritizes its people and the health of its people over cars. I think it's a beautiful space, and I get to enjoy it when it's closed, and I'm really looking forward to it.
The move has drawn controversy. Those living in the Sunset District are worried about a traffic nightmare. One disabled senior is concerned how the closure will impact her ability to leave her home.
If I tried to cross the street, I can't run out of the way. It makes it very dangerous. It's just, you have heavy traffic, you're going to have more accidents.
Part of the Great Highway closed in 2020 to give residents more recreational space during the pandemic. The park is set to open on April 12th. Meantime, the city is asking the community to help name the park.
Also in San Francisco, there's been a mass exodus of large and small business in recent years, from the departure of Nordstrom to mom and pop restaurants. In fact, even celebrity chef Tyler Florence recently closed 2 Union Square cafes, even though the city had provided him financial help to get the eateries up and running. Businesses that we spoke to say that 5 years after the start of the pandemic, downtown has not yet fully rebounded. Dial in now on how some small businesses are pivoting and how the city's helping.
New Delhi is the oldest Indian restaurant and the only Indian legacy business in San Francisco. But the owner says this gem is in danger of closing.
This is the time I would love everybody to support us. Because once we are gone, you can just say, oh, I wish I came and did. Too late. Too late.
Chef and owner Ranjan Day says downtown San Francisco still hasn't recovered from remote work and public safety concerns.
Especially January, February has been one of the slowest in 36 years.
New Delhi is located 2 blocks away from Union Square and 1 block away from Market Street. He says most nights are very slow. It's partly why nearby Macy's and Bloomingdale's are closing. Nordstrom already left.
It is really scary. I have to dip into all my savings. They're all gone. I have to take personal loans left, right, and center to make sure I pay the bills, take care of my staff.
The owner of City Sightseeing San Francisco hop-on, hop-off buses tells me they're missing a big percentage of the Asian tourists, especially from China. This tourism company says they experienced the slowest winter in years. So fewer visitors and locals. That's forced Ranjan to pivot by adding live entertainment on top of great food to attract customers.
You know, spicy karaoke. And that's the most deliciousness. Like, you have a few drinks, you can karaoke with a dish of curry, out of tune.
That's right. Karaoke on every Tuesday and Wednesday nights to draw the younger crowds. The entertainment concept is working great just a block away at John's Grill, also a legacy business over 100 years old.
We have bounced all the way back. We have 3 levels rocking every night. We have live jazz music 7 days a week.
Live jazz every night. The owner of John's Grill, John Constant Jr., says that's helped them not only to survive, but thrive in this challenging environment. State Senator Scott Wiener is also working on the state level and with the mayor to change the law and allow more businesses to serve alcohol in the downtown area.
We're working on turning Ellis Street into an entertainment zone.
Ranjan welcomes any solution that can bring people back to the area.
I feel we are going to overcome it, but we just need a little help. As a community, we can band together, we can help each other, we can overcome it.
Ranjan is hoping longtime customers who haven't been here in a while will return for some delicious Indian food. Now, they haven't done lunch in a while because they don't have enough customers during the day, but they're open for dinner every night starting at 5.
In the North Bay, the small town of Healdsburg is taking action to prevent some big businesses from entering into its downtown area. John Ramos has more on the town's chain reaction.
It's a tough time to be in business these days, but the city of Healdsburg likes its small town feel and is working to protect it, even if it means keeping some pretty familiar names from coming into town. On Saturday, the city of Brentwood celebrated the opening of its first Costco, and it felt like the entire town showed up to welcome it. The giant retailer probably wouldn't get the same reception in Healdsburg. In fact, a lot of people got pretty freaked out in May when this small men's clothing store showed up in the downtown area.
As far as I know, this is the first time we've ever had a chain store per se come in, and it scared people.
So Mayor Evelyn Mitchell says the town began working on an ordinance to ban chain stores and restaurants known as formula businesses from the downtown. They've already been prohibited in the commercial spaces lining the city's downtown plaza.
The plaza is where people go, right? I mean, it's really unique. We call it the Healdsburg's living room.
And by a unanimous vote, the City Council approved an ordinance to extend the chain store ban to a larger portion of downtown. They also banned big box stores like Home Depot and Walmart from the town entirely. Those are already available in the town of Windsor, just up the road, so Healdsburg figures it can afford to forego some sales tax revenue to maintain its identity. And it's hard to find anyone who's too upset about it.
I just think that when you're local and you have the big guys coming in, it starts changing the feeling of it. It changes the feeling of it.
You go to a mall and it has exactly the same shops all over the world. And we don't have that here. We have mostly local shops with different flavor, and people come to Healdsburg and they know that that's what they're going to find. So for us, we really like it that way.
Christine Bryan owns 101, a woman's boutique store on the plaza. She makes trips every year to Europe to purchase clothing not found anywhere else in the Bay Area.
There's not a store like this anywhere else, and that's what brings people to Healdsburg, is stores that are just unlike anything you see everywhere.
And you don't want to lose that.
I do not want to lose that. I do not want Saks. I do not want Banana Republic. I do not want those stores here.
But the mayor says there are practical concerns as well. Not every business is right on the plaza, and she's worried about what could happen to those locations if there's a severe downturn in the economy.
The concern is that they don't get any foot traffic beyond the plaza. What happens if there's an empty storefront and you've got these restrictions, and so then it remains empty? So that's my concern still. That there's going to be down the road maybe some downturn in the economy, downturn in tourism, all of those things could happen to us, and they have.
She voted for the ordinance with a provision that exceptions could be made if elected officials decide it's in the best interests of the city. And while keeping Healdsburg unique is a bedrock principle right now, it's not exactly written in stone.
The good news about an ordinance, I guess, though, is this is what I've been told, and we can change it. Right? If it doesn't work, we could also change the ordinance.
And coming up, a heavenly sight in the nighttime sky will sweep over Bay Area skies later this week. Unfortunately, so will a series of storms. The spectacle and the forecast is coming up, and you're there.
Speaking of nighttime, we've got the nighttime satellite up for much of the midsection of the country, but look out there. That's a good-looking storm. That one's going to miss us. But these won't. There's like 3 of them back here that are coming our way. We'll talk about rain and snow. We also need to look at high surf. Things are going to get busy again. It's going to start Wednesday, and it's going to go for a little while. Forecast coming up.
Welcome back. For the first time in years, the Bay Area will be treated to the site of a total lunar eclipse later this coming week.
Kevin Coe has more on what to expect.
Eclipses are spectacular. I mean, the moon kind of slowly slides into the shadow of the Earth and turns red, this blood red color.
On Thursday night, the Earth will be directly between the sun and moon.
It's pretty dramatic, I think. The moon kind of almost disappears from the sky, but it doesn't. It becomes this blood red color.
Ron Hipschman has seen more than a few. The scientist joined the Exploratorium in 1971 and creates science content for the museum in San Francisco. He took us through NASA's Scientific Visualization Studio to map out Thursday's eclipse for the Bay Area.
It couldn't be much better for us. Well, maybe not everybody wants it at midnight. I would just go for the umbral shadow, which starts at about 11:26.
The center of the eclipse is a minute before midnight, which might be late for some, but will be more accessible than other celestial events.
You want to see a meteor shower, you've got to find some dark spot with the right view of the sky. If you want a solar eclipse, you've got to go to the right place, part of the world. But with a lunar eclipse, if it's visible in your area, as long as you have a clear sky and a view, you can enjoy it.
Ryan Wyatt is the senior director of the Morrison Planetarium at the California Academy of Sciences.
Whenever you look up at the sky, you have this connection to something that's bigger than yourself. And with an eclipse, like, you can start to think of yourself like, oh, I'm on this planet that's orbiting the sun, and we just coincidentally, twice a year we line up just right with the moon.
The whole idea of this
cosmic dance that's constantly going on.
Unlike a solar eclipse, no protective eyewear is necessary. As long as you can see the moon, you can catch Thursday's lunar eclipse anywhere in the Bay Area.
All right, Darren. Now the bad news.
Yeah, I know. I think it'll be good news because it's Thursday night we're talking about.
Yeah.
You'll see in the forecast, the way things are lined up now, by Thursday night, the first storm should have cleared by the time we get to Thursday
there
night.
might be a break, and we could get really good viewing.
It should really be one of the openings at this point, but
that'd be
the
great.
timing on this is going to be tricky, so let's try and get detailed. By the way, we're standing in the nighttime visible satellite imagery, looking over the United States right now. Come out over here to us. This is this afternoon. Look at this beautiful batch of clouds out here. Of course, we had a wonderfully sunny day here at home today. But if you follow this line out here, you see how you've got all of these like spreckled, like spotty looking clouds out there? Let's follow this all the way down the coast and look at that little comma shape out there. So the Pacific is getting active. That's storm number 1 out there. That little comma is going to miss us. But all the cold air out here has plenty of follow-ups, and there are 3 storms out that way, back behind all of that will get here with rain starting on Wednesday. One of the things we're going to feel from it, as we were talking about a moment ago, when you take a look at all the wave energy out in the Pacific, we're likely going to be talking about some sort of messaging out at the beaches by Thursday when all of that wave energy right there gets to the coast. That's one aspect, but we need to talk about rain. We need to talk about wind and snow, and we'll do all that in this hour. The first thing I want to do in this visit is make sure you get ready for the rain. So let's bring this down to scale a little more. We'll say goodbye to the really pretty looking vantage point of that high resolution satellite over us today. And let's see if we can pick out the details of the arrival. So we're going to look past the wave heights. We're going to put the rain on here. There goes the Monday system that misses us. And here comes the Wednesday storm. I'm going to play these kind of fast so we can fit them all in. There's a couple of days here. So this is the first system. By Wednesday morning, it moves into the North Bay. And then right here, by the time we get into Wednesday afternoon, we're looking at some of the best rain coming right across the bay. So you really should think of this as any point of the day on Wednesday right now for widespread rain. This is a 2-day storm, but like 80% of it's coming on Wednesday. What happens on Thursday will be leftover scattered showers, maybe an occasional isolated thunderstorm even. And then by Thursday late afternoon, the back edge of that should clear. Here's our opening for the eclipse on Thursday night. So we should get relatively clear skies on Thursday night, maybe even partly cloudy skies. Should still be okay for lunar eclipse because it plays out over a couple of hours. So you should at least get a view of something Thursday night. All right, let's move on now to the next storm. Friday. This is Friday morning, and the next storm's already coming on shore. So here we are in the 7, 8 o'clock hour. Leading edge is arriving, but the better rain for Friday is out here. So here we go again, Friday through the afternoon. Another system comes overhead. This one may not be as rainy as the Wednesday system, but it might be about half. I'll show you rainfall totals in a second, which means it's still a rainy day on Friday. And then the next system comes in late Saturday night. So it looks like perhaps most of Saturday at this point, timing your weekend, should be in a little bit of a gap. But by Saturday night, going into Sunday morning, the next system arrives, and then that's rain into Sunday. We're going too far down the road now to try and look for that many specifics in the forecast. So let's just take it from now through Sunday's 7-day forecast. Here's what the rainfall totals could look like. There's the Wednesday system. That's about 1 inch. Then we add on that Friday system and that Saturday night into Sunday system, and now we're looking at perhaps about 4 inches of rain. If you take that and you spread it out over like a 4 to 5 day period, that is manageable. So on the one hand, we're not concerned about flooding, but on the other hand, it's going to be a busy pattern. This will be the rainiest period that we've had around here for about a month. It's been kind of quiet around here lately. The systems that we've had were quiet. Nothing's happened until Wednesday. And then things kind of pick up from there. And we will sort out the details and really drill down the timing as we get closer to this. So stay on top of it with us.
A sad goodbye to Art Schallock. Got to know the Marin native before, well, the big league pitcher at age 99. And then we saw him again at age 100. Now, we lost the left-hander on Thursday. Then the oldest living MLB centenarian. You're this kid from Mill Valley, and you're playing in the big leagues.
I know. I came a long way.
Art Schallock graduated from Tamalpais High School in 1942. He spent the next 4 years in the Navy during World War II. When he returned home, Art played minor league baseball before finally getting called up in 1951.
I was thrilled to death going to the top baseball team in the whole world.
He joined the New York Yankees, but to make room for him on the roster, the club sent down a young rookie named Mickey Mantle.
They sent him down to Kansas City. He came back 3 months later, though, and made quite a name for himself.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Yankee Stadium.
Art spent parts of the next 5 seasons in Yankee pinstripes.
Walking into Yankee Stadium for the first time, that was the biggest thrill of my life, I think. I was just awed that I was part of it.
He was part of 3 straight championship teams and even pitched 2 innings in the 1953 World Series.
Casey Siegel said afterwards the reason why he picked me because I had been brought up with the Dodgers and I knew the Dodgers. He says, my bullpen does not know the Dodger hitters.
The 5'9" left-hander described his fastball as sneaky fast and relied on his catcher, Hall of Famer Yogi Berra.
When I first got up to the Yankees, he was my roomie because he knew all the hitters in the league. And every morning I'd have to go down to the lobby and get him his funny books.
His room is filled with memories from his baseball past. But there was one notable exception, his 1953 World Series ring.
My wife hid the thing in the house, and then she couldn't remember where she hid it. And when we sold the house, it went to the dumps. I never did find it. It's just one of those things. And
That's unbelievable.
And those rings sell for around $25,000.
Yeah. He got to live out his childhood dream nearly 70 years ago. But there's one thing he would have liked to change.
The minimum salary for a ball player was $5,000. Today it is $475,000. I was born too quick.
Art has the distinction as the oldest living former Major League ball player.
Maybe I'll be here for another week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 months. I may be gone tomorrow. I don't know. At my age, yeah.
Art had been getting media requests for interviews all the way to the end. And among his last words, when asked what they should tell him, he said with a cackle, "Tell them they can go to not heaven."
Had enough of the media by then, except you. What a great interview. You know, Jim Bouton in Ball 4 had said, I think in 1970 he made $30,000 a year. $30,000 a year.
Well, you're playing for the love of the game then.
Yeah. When things have changed. Thank you, Vern. That was great. Coming up in our next half hour, Congressman Sam Liccardo opened the floor to South Bay residents, and boy, did he get an earful.
Plus, San Jose's new homeless policy could involve jail time. Details on the tougher stance.
Now you can get your KPIX news, weather, and live stream all in one place on the CBS News app. Download it free today. From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
Welcome back. A big week for Wall Street coming up as stocks come off their worst stretch in more than 6 months.
Is a recession ahead. Economists are warning the Trump administration's whipsaw policy on tariffs are tanking the market.
It's the on-again, off-again tariffs that are just driving business people and investors crazy.
In an interview on Sunday, President Trump said the economy is in a, quote, period of transition. For now, tariffs on Canada and Mexico have been delayed for at least a month.
In Washington, money took center stage this weekend with a government shutdown looming.
On top of that, a budget battle is brewing and President Trump's threat to unleash more tariffs on the nation's largest trade partners. CBS News correspondent Nicole Killian reports from West Palm Beach, Florida.
A potential government shutdown is looming this Friday. House Speaker Mike Johnson says a vote on a Republican-backed measure unveiled over the weekend will take place on Tuesday. But it remains to be seen whether GOP lawmakers can pass the continuing resolution along party lines or have to rely on Democratic votes.
The text was just released yesterday, compliant with the 72-hour rule before a vote. We're still digging through it. Like most bills, there's some good in there, there's some not so good in there, and we got to make an aggregate decision.
In the case of the CR, there's been offers to negotiate, and there's been very little negotiated. It's kind of been a my way or the highway type of thing.
In another high-stakes battle, President Trump spoke about his new tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China. The president was asked in a television interview that aired Sunday why he paused some tariffs, including those on auto imports, until next month.
But this is short-term, and I felt that for the good of the American car makers and the MCA, you know, the USMCA, that's Mexico, Canada. I thought it would be a fair thing to do, and so I gave them a little bit of a break for this short period of time.
While in Washington, authorities are investigating after an armed man believed to be traveling from Indiana was shot and injured by U.S. Secret Service agents near the White House.
As officers approached, the individual brandished a firearm, at which time an armed encounter ensued, and Secret Service personnel discharged their service weapons.
President Trump was in Florida at the time of the incident.
Meantime, South Bay residents had a chance to ask Congressman Sam Liccardo questions at a town hall in Mountain View today. The House Democrat said that he is working to fight the Trump administration any way he can. A woman that we spoke to before the town hall said that she is unhappy with Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency.
A government is not a business. A government takes care of its 365 million people. People who work for the government do so because they want to support democracy. They can make a whole lot of money outside in the private sector. But if you add 60,000 people to the unemployment rolls, we're moving toward a recession.
Liccardo also noted the Democrats are constrained because they're currently the minority party, at least at the federal level. It is the second weekend that Liccardo has held a town hall.
In San Jose, city leaders are escalating its crackdown on the homeless crisis. Mayor Matt Mahan says too many people are repeatedly refusing shelter. Now he's proposing an ultimatum: move inside or face jail time. Nearly 10,000 people face housing insecurity in Santa Clara County. According to the latest count in 2023, about 2,500 of them were sheltered, but a wide majority were living on the streets.
The mayor says the city is investing in solutions and he's got available shelter. He says it's now on them, the homeless, to accept it. Kara St. Cyr has more.
It's all wet. It's all mildewed. Oh, that's dirty.
The road to stable housing is often a rocky one, if you ask, Teresa said.
I just lost my cord, so that's good.
She's lived on these train tracks since 2023, partially because finding housing that she can stay in is hard.
I have past trauma issues that if I'm around more than 4 people, I get panic attacks. I have night terrors and scream, so I can't stay in a regular shelter.
Sometimes she refuses, but soon that could be grounds for an arrest.
San Jose Firefighters Local 230 really appreciate our labor leaders, public safety union standing with me on this.
San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan is proposing a plan that allows police to arrest unhoused people who refuse multiple offers of shelter.
We all have a responsibility to end this crisis. Government, on behalf of our community, has a responsibility to build shelter, and our homeless neighbors have a responsibility to use it.
Mahan's proposal would expand the city's definition of trespassing to include sheltering on public streets for 3 days. If violators refuse shelter, they'll first get a warning. If they refuse 3 times within a year, they could end up in jail.
But we are going to create dignified indoor places with services for people to be as an alternative to the streets. We can't fulfill that promise and make good on that solution if 1 in 3 people say, no thanks, I'd rather stay here on the streets. And that is actually a rough ratio we see as we go to different sites around the city doing outreach.
But David Lowe, the Senior Director of Public Policy at Destination Home, says the proposal ignores the heart of the problem.
The fact of the matter is there's just simply nowhere near enough places for people who are experiencing homelessness in our community to go.
On any given day, San Jose has about 5,400 homeless people, but only 2,900 beds available. Lowe says the discrepancy in housing is why he thinks this plan won't work.
It's a really disturbing trend because we simply cannot arrest our way out of our homelessness crisis.
San Jose plans to add 1,000 new indoor spaces over the next year, but Said, who just accepted housing a few days ago, says she still feels the proposal doesn't take the needs of unhoused people into consideration.
It's not fair to force us to, and because it's going to cause more problems.
Problems the city of San Jose, like many others in California, are struggling to solve.
And coming up, a pharmacy desert in San Francisco. Why so many Walgreens are shutting down across the city.
Well, getting a prescription at a local drugstore is a challenge in San Francisco. Earlier this month, 12 more Walgreens locations shut down just last week. It's creating what advocates call a pharmacy desert. According to one city supervisor, 63 pharmacies have closed across the city over the past decade. At the same time, many independent pharmacies that have survived are struggling to stay afloat. Kenny Choi shows us the struggle for one independent pharmacist and the possible solutions.
Iqbal Gill opened his first store last year after working for decades as a pharmacist, pouring his life savings into this small business. But reliable Rexall Sunset Pharmacy is struggling to keep its doors open.
Feel like running away from here and locking the door and hiding somewhere.
The pharmacy on Irving Street has been operating for more than 100 years. He's behind on rent, other bills, and more.
Billing is still a mystery, whether I will be getting any reimbursement or no.
Independent pharmacy owners say plunging reimbursement rates by PBMs, pharmacy benefit managers, and big insurance plans is a key factor leading to closures. The National Community Pharmacists Association says more than half of surveyed owners say insurance plans are reimbursing pharmacies less than the cost to purchase the drug for at least 3 of every 20 prescriptions they fill.
We cannot afford to get reimbursement as compared to the major chains.
As pharmacies, both independent and chains like Walgreens, continue to shutter, those who rely on their services are left drifting in the wind.
Where are you going to go if this place?
I don't know.
Fred Klein says ordering online is beyond a challenge.
All the print's so small online and even on the bottles, I can't read that anymore. I have 2 magnifying glasses.
Others say insurance plans often require them to visit brick and mortar pharmacies for certain medications. As closures abound, District 9 Board of Supervisor Jackie Fielder is proposing the city explore ways to set up a co-owned and operated network of pharmacies.
We're going to look at successful models from other cities that have addressed pharmacy deserts. Evaluating strategies for the city to negotiate lower drug prices, to make medications more affordable, identifying alternative revenue streams to support pharmacy sustainability.
Fielder's request for a budget and legislative analysis will take 6 to 9 months. Part of the report will outline legal and financial requirements of co-op pharmacies, including potential city funding. But Gill isn't sure how long he can hold on. Recent break-ins have set him back even further.
They broke open and took away the drugs.
His vision was to stock aisles with essentials to make it a more vibrant neighborhood pharmacy. But reimbursement challenges and more are making it difficult to supply the rest of his store, leading to fewer sales each day.
Maybe I made $1. Maybe I lost $2. Who knows?
He's hanging on, but understands the end may be near.
Supervisor Fielder says findings and recommendations from the budget and legislative analysis of co-ops will be made public, and city leaders will discuss them with the community and remaining pharmacies.
Hope you've been making the most of this weekend. It is gorgeous out there. There's no denying that. We're in a big clear spot, but just off the coast on our virtual map, you can see the storm track, which is getting developed. We've got plenty of rain coming our way. It's going to start on Wednesday, and then it could go for a little while. We're going to talk about rain, but we're also going to talk about why this is such a good news story for the snow in the Sierra. We also have to talk a little bit about wind. All of that coming up after the break.
10, time for First Alert Weather, where folks were out today enjoying the parks down at De Anza Park. But there was a woman who had just come in from Cleveland who said, totally different world out there.
It was very cold, and yeah, we can get that weather in Tahoe, but not here. So, I was really appreciating the weather after coming here. We were planning to play some and soak up the sun. So that's the Valley of California, right?
Yeah,
sure is today, especially.
But there's some changes ahead for us.
Yeah, totally different by the middle of the week. So we had a great weekend, and now we need to start at least reorienting our thinking about our relationship with the weather. It's going to get a lot more active around here by the middle of the week. You still have a couple of days where nothing's doing. You look at the beautiful satellite image today. We're clear. There's a lot of snow in that imagery for what's coming to the Sierra over the next few days, and I just want to give you a little perspective on this. That's a graph showing you where snow is for the Central Sierra. The months go along the bottom here. The dark blue line shows you where the average is. That's the goal. That's where you want to be throughout the course of winter. The red line is where we are. We have flatlined over the last several weeks. And the longer we flatline, the farther we fall below average. That's why what's coming in the forecast for snow starting on Wednesday is good news, because this is the most important aspect when it comes to how are we doing with water and the water storage and all of that. Is the snow in the Sierra. That's how much we could have by Thursday. And just for fun, I'm going to let that play past that to the several storms that could come after that. The numbers start to get pretty high. If that plays out, we're getting back to average for snow in the Sierra. The primary concern would be what's the drive like going across 80 and 50. And that's where you'll be as we go through the remainder of this week. Snow level is going to get down easily to around like 3,000 feet, and there could be several new feet of snow coming to the Sierra. Let's leave the monitor behind, come back to the visuals here in the virtual world so you can see what's sitting off the coast there. All those mottled clouds, that's where the storm track is. It's going to take about 2.5 days before that rain gets here because that beautiful little comma sitting out there. There's a little kink in the clouds there. That storm is the first one, and it's going to miss us. So best to come in for a closer look on the details and play through the forecast in terms of how this series of systems are going to start coming to California. There goes the one that misses us, and here's the one for Wednesday. So let's time out the rain. Wednesday, it's pretty much all day at this point. You got a chance of rain throughout the day on Wednesday. Widespread steady. This will be one of the more impressive rain days of the week, but keep in mind, there's 2 more storms coming after this one. And the Sunday one could be close to this. But that's the most impressive depiction for widespread steady rain. That's Wednesday. Thursday, it turns into on-again, off-again showers, maybe an occasional thunderstorm, and it should clear up by the second half of Thursday at this point. That's where timing stands. So let's clear that one out. Very quickly, the next system comes in. Totally separate system, and now we're looking at Friday. So that's Friday morning. We go into Friday afternoon. We've still got some leftover scattered showers from that. And then maybe a little break in there for Saturday. But late Saturday night, the next system comes in, and that rains with us into Sunday. There's a lot there. So we put the totals on here. Best to broad brush these numbers at this point. You kind of take a look at California as a whole, and you can see here we are at home. San Francisco is going to be kind of the locator for how we'll do in the Bay in general, because everybody looks to be about equal here. Maybe for a grand total, like 2 to 3 inches of rain for the whole period, maybe a little more. If we put it on a closer time scale and a perspective, that gives us a little bit more of a view on how things will play out for the Bay. All the way into next Sunday, there's your 2 to maybe 3 inches. It shows up Santa Rosa's maybe 3 inches, but San Jose is not that far behind that. There's one other thing about this. It's going to get a bit windy. So when you look at how, we're just going to look at Wednesday, and I'm going to play the streamlines forward. Watch what develops out here Wednesday afternoon. You see the winds start to pick up. But when we get to Wednesday afternoon, as that leading edge arrives, this is the cold front right here. And out in front of that very well-defined line, the winds out here really start to pick up speed and race to meet that cold front. Wednesday, we could be looking at wind speeds that get up to around 35, maybe 40-mile-an-hour winds. The National Weather Service is saying that doesn't look like a super impactful part of this system. They're not even really thinking they'll need a wind advisory, but just know it's going to be breezy to windy on Wednesday as that system comes in. You get your chance for more rain on Sunday. Saturday, we could get a bit of a break. And then there's a weak little system here on Friday where we get about a half an inch of rain as well.
Well, thank you for watching. 60 Minutes is next. We'll see you back here at 11 tonight.